Let's discuss some of the questions from 2021 past papers for net paper 1 across various sets and shifts. So the first question is aerobic digestion of sewage sludge requires lots of energy, and the second one is the aerobic digestion of the sludge produces huge amount of methane. So the first one is actually correct. Aerobic digestion of the sewage actually produces a lots of energy. It occurs when oxygen is available, since it is aerobic. If it was anaerobic, it would be in the absence of oxygen. Now what are the compounds which are produced? You have nitrate, phosphate, carbon dioxide, which are produced as a result of it. So statement 2 is incorrect. Now the benefit is the volatile solid reduction actually meets or exceeds the anaerobic digestion. There is operation which is much easy. Stabilized sludge is relatively free to be produced. So those are some of the added advantages that you can see. Now some of the e-waste components and their description. A clear question has been given here. So what is need to be done is you have to just match which of the following is correct. So mercury is found where? Mercury is found in the flat screen monitors, PCB or chlorinated biphenyls are seen in transformers and capacitors. Brominated flame retardant in the circuit boards, and PVC in for insulation purpose. So those are the correct match. So printed circuit board, flame retardants, very important. Another question from another set was a similar question where the question regarding brominated flame retardants have been asked. So again an important component. Now as we can see, e-waste becomes important question. Recently Down to Earth has talked about photovoltaic cells and discarding photovoltaic cells. So a project has been started at Neelamangal near IISC, Indian Institute of Science campus in Bangalore, and that's one of the efforts for this. Now aquatic weeds are fast growing weeds which can attain high productivity when cultivated on nutrient rich waterways such as domestic waste. Totally correct. Some of the examples of aquatic weeds are water hyacinth, salvinia and duckweed. Again correct. So both the statements are true here. Extremely important question, very direct question as well. Now India's share of the nuclear energy in the total electricity generation is 3%. Now here are some of the operating and the non-operating sites. Kakrapara, Tarapur, Kaiga, Kalapakkam, Kundalkulam, Narora and parts in Rajasthan are some of the major nuclear center operating sites. There are some other operating sites which are actually proposed and supposed to be built. So by 2020, we say 3.3% of the electricity generation came from nuclear energy. Now next is match the correct list. So lead is seen in paint. So paint, the old paints actually had lead components. Polychlorinated biphenyls we have already talked about in the previous question as well. So as I said, similar questions across set. So these are used for electrical insulation. Benzene is used in gasoline, and vinyl chloride for plastic industrial use. So those are the correct match for this question. Again a very important question. Benzene is also used as a feedstock, a raw material for most of the cases. Now International Solar Alliance Framework Agreement entered into force in which year? In 2016. So again this was important that in 2021 it was entered into force as the major agreement, and initially it was signed for the agreement in 2016 at Marrakesh, Morocco. So 2016 it started at Marrakesh, Morocco. 2021 it came into actual force. So this question actually asks about when did it open for membership. So that open for signature it started in 2016. Since 2021 is not one of the choices. The next is, according to one of the sustainable development goals, the per capita food waste at the retail and the consumer level has to be reduced to half. Now this is under the sustainable goal 12.3, where we say by 2030 half the per capita global food waste at retail and consumer levels, and reducing the food loss along the production and the supply chain, including the post harvest chain, has to be done. According to WHO, the pesticide content for lindane or DDT in drinking water should not exceed 1 micrograms per liter. So that's the guidelines given by WHO. The next is, which of the pollutant has least residence time? Now this is something that we have covered in our video lectures extensively, the various components and their residence time. So here from the given choices, the least residence time would be methane. So methane becomes the right option here. The last question is, the noise levels, decibels, are referenced to the human hearing threshold at a frequency of 1 kilohertz. So decibels are referenced at 1 kilohertz, and that's how we understand those. Okay, so those are the various sound pressure levels. The normal speech range, as you can see, is somewhere around 60. 120, 100 and above are loud sounds, and then we have the country quiet atmosphere, which is around 20 decibels. So those are some of the ranges of the noise levels which can be witnessed. So these were some of the questions from the section on environment. As we have seen, a little questions were contemporary, more questions were focused on recent happenings, their sustainable development goals, their subparts within the sustainable development goals, talking about e-waste, the various components under e-waste and where they are actually used. So those were some of the common questions that we have discussed in this edition. Thanks for joining in.